Call the meeting to order. And welcome to everybody, and thank you all for being here tonight. And we will start off with saying the pledge.
They moved the flag. See, that's tradition for you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was like, what are y'all looking at me for? Okay, just a reminder, there is a sign-in if you'd like to sign in up front. And do we have any revisions?
Yes, we do have one addition. It's under the roof replacement project. It will actually be item number A, which is the final pay app. It sort of got lost in the shuffle. So the consideration, the approval of the BG4 is item B, and A will actually be the pay app. You'll need to pay the final payment before we can actually close the project. So, and that is the only revision that we have. And with that, if it pleases you and the board, we would like to go out. We have South Irvin here tonight. Our students are here to perform for us, and we thought it would be a lot better to just go ahead and go out and let them perform, and then once they're finished, they can all leave. They've got school tomorrow, and we'll come back and we'll conduct the board's business. So if everybody's ready at this time, we'll just go out and we'll reconvene once they're finished.
All right.
I think you'll be excited to hear from our preschoolers.
The board at one point, we through December, and we are honored to be here to sing 4 Christmas songs to you this evening. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the kids.
Not hold it close.
All right, you ready?
It was a night before Christmas, and all through the house there was one creature stirring. It was Milton the Mouse. He was swinging his tail under the Christmas tree. They said, Hey, job, everybody. That was great. All right, yeah. Can you hear me, Lisa? Okay. Thank you. Miss Campbell's class, let's go, Miss Campbell. Miss Campbell's class, go, Miss Campbell. There you go. Parents, you can go get your students at Miss Campbell in a minute. Miss Browning's class, you can head to Miss Browning. Great job. Miss Jamie is right here. She's going to have her students. And you can come and get your students from Miss Jamie. Miss Palmer's class is with her. Miss Miller's class, please go to Miss Miller. Miss Muncie. Do you have your students, Miss Muncie? And then Miss Williams, please go to Miss Williams. Miss Spicer. And then Miss Vance is underneath the basketball goal. Thank you, parents, for sharing your students with us, and thank you for coming out this evening.
Hey guys, and on behalf of the board, we appreciate y'all bringing them out tonight. This is really exciting to have our kids come out and perform for us, and Merry Christmas to everybody. And we'll go back and finish conducting our board meeting. But thank you all. Merry Christmas.
That she was still out there. We've lost a board member.
Yeah?
Do I need to go get my lasso?
I don't know.
She's not there. We're ready to move. She's running for office, I think.
Breaker. It's one of the reasons we decided to have student performances was to be able to get to see our kids and have them come out. Realize it or not, you just saw the graduating class of 2032
Wow. 20.
and 2033. That's the future of Estill County schools right there. So when you think about it like that, then it's puts it all into perspective. Those kids, and again, the class of 2032 and 2033 was out there performing for you right then. Yeah, we can go ahead.
Okay, we're going to start off with our mountain movers.
Okay, and as everybody knows, every week we like to recognize our mountain movers. And yeah, I said every week. We'll do it every week, every month. You're right.
I didn't even catch it.
I'm all disturbed. Well, at least somebody was listening.
Good job, Lisa.
It's good to know that somebody's paying attention to what we're doing up here. But let's start out, and we'll start out with our classified mountain mover, and I'll ask Mr. David Rice if he'd come up. Brian, you want to come today? Well, apparently we're all tangled up somehow. I don't know. I'll let you work on those in the meantime. But David is in his first year as our second shift custodian at Estill County Middle School, and he retired from Sherwin-Williams before coming to Estill County Middle School. And the staff at the middle school says that David is loved by the staff and students. He was nominated because of his optimistic attitude and the smile he always has on his face. They also said he makes awesome fudge and is an amazing painter. So David, congratulations on being named our mountain mover for this. We have a certificate for you. Now get out of the way. And as always, we present our mountain movers with the Medal of Excellence for providing good customer service to our students. Next, we'll go with our certified mountain mover. And Miss Jenny Jo, you want to come up? You still in the process of untangling?
Yeah, they're like in a knot. There's one.
And Miss Shavonna Hatton. And Shavonna is in her second year as a school counselor at Estill Springs. She's a classroom teacher for 5 years at West Urban. Shavonna says she loves making an impact and loves seeing kids grow academically. Shavonna believes the children are our future, and if we teach them well and let them lead the way by showing them that the beauty they possess inside, it gives them a sense of pride to succeed. So we're very excited to honor Shavonna this month. And as always, we will give you the Medal of Excellence as well for what you do for our school district and our kids. Thank you. Miss Sheila, you want to do this one? And our Mountain Mover Community Award winner is the Estill County Cooperative Extension, our 4-H Cooperative Extension. And if representatives were... And we're so excited with our cooperative extension agents, and Estill County Cooperative recently celebrated 100 years in extension service. Over the years, they have provided the following program to Estill Countyans and continue to provide student services weekly. Listen to some of the services they provide: art club, teen club, youth safety day, forestry camp, environmental camp, after school cooking club, cover bud camp, livestock camp club, reality store, truth and consequences, speech club, ag college and career day, shooting, sports, grandparent support, county and state fair competitions, the Country Ham Project, everybody loves that one, the FFA 4-H food relief, poetry club, beekeeping, computers for farmers, robotics, small engine repair, and many, many more. And we're very appreciative of our co-op. And although I don't have one for everybody, you all can share, but I'd like to present you all with the Medal of Excellence as well for all that you do. So I don't know who wants to wear it.
Go on, Donna.
No. I'll present it to you all in new hope.
It's brand new, we'll let her wear it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got Miss Isaacs next with the National Board Certified.
Tanya, now on the agenda, we have our National Board Certification recipients.
Well, it is a great pleasure to honor several teachers that have just earned National Board Certification. And this is not an easy thing to do. We are so proud of our teachers who have earned this. And we now have a total of 10 teachers in our district that do have National Board Certification. We are very proud and very excited about that, because these people are our teacher leaders, and we look to them to direct us in ways and help build capacity within our buildings. And so I would like to honor tonight Tanya Miller. She is our district teacher leader in science and math. We have Miss Brittany Wynn. She is at our middle school. If she'll come forward. Tanya, why don't you stand over here, okay? We have Leah Brown. She is at Estill Springs, but she emailed me and said she had company coming for Christmas, so she couldn't be here tonight, but we're proud of Leah. We have Christy Bledsoe. Come up, Miss Christie. She is at Estill Springs. And then we have a middle school teacher, Tanya Beard, if she'll come forward. Long hours they have put into this endeavor, and you know, they'll have to recertify after how long? 5 years. So in 5 years, they have to do this process all over. But it is with great honor. Would you like to say something, Ms. Miller? No. Tell us about your experience.
Well, it was a very hard experience, but it taught me a lot.
Yes.
I think that it,
Oh, Andrea.
I thought she's missing
I'm missing one. Andrea Weber. Oh my goodness, and I asked her to talk. Come right on down. Can't leave out Andrea. She's district coach too. Oh my goodness. Now I owe you something. Okay, go ahead.
I think that it taught us all perseverance. I know that my first year was probably my hardest. I didn't score as high as I would have liked to, but I was able to come back and overcome that. So I just think that it's a really good process. It really helped me to reflect on myself as a teacher and as a professional and a leader within our school district. So thank you guys for supporting us.
You're welcome. Miss Brittany, say a word. What about you?
Speak about my experience.
Yeah. Say a word about your
It was
experience.
painful.
It's painful. Okay. So you can see this is not easy. So that's why we're.
It was well worth it in the end.
Yes, yes. Very proud of you. Christy, what about your experience?
Well, it was a good experience. It was very time consuming. Took a lot of effort, you know, to do things in the classroom and submit components as well as go take tests, and took a few times to get it done.
Great. What about it, Miss Beard?
It was time consuming, but it was worth it, and I didn't score as well on one component, so had to go back and redo that, but it was worth it.
Miss Maybriar.
It was really stressful, but I'm glad I did it.
Right, we're glad you did it too. So let's give them another big hand. Oh. This is actually our second group. And we'd like to have some more now. We're still recruiting, right, Mr. Saylor?
You know, and you heard each of them say, you know, we're trying to teach our kids that, you heard them say that some of them had to go back and retake this test or that test. Listen, there is absolutely no shame in trying to reach a goal, and if you're not successful, that's okay. The part that becomes a problem is when you quit, you give up. And we try to teach our kids that every day, that it's okay to try. It's okay to try to reach for high levels. And if you come up short, you come back and you try again another day. And we're very proud of this group. And now we've went from having no National Board Certified teachers in our district to now having 10. And that puts us right at the state average right now for most school districts in terms of the number of National Board Certified teachers. We are right now trying to recruit another cohort of teachers that want to go ahead and get their National Board certification. And the whole ideal about success is that you have to have leaders. And leadership doesn't really start with me. You know, my leadership role in this school district is a lot different than the leadership role that these ladies and all of our National Board Certified teachers take on, because they're teacher leaders in the classroom. They're the experts in curriculum. They're the experts on how to deal with different behaviors that kids may possess, and how that we help them be successful. And they can work as leaders to help other teachers in our school district. So there's really 3 levels of leadership. There's district level leadership, which is us at the central office. And then we have our school level leadership, which is our principals and the administrators at the schools. But this is the level that we've been trying to work on, and that's leadership at the teacher level. And these people, hopefully they're our future principals, they're our future administrators in our school district. So I'm proud of each and every one of you, and I'm sorry one of them's not here tonight. but we're very proud of what you've done, and we appreciate you very much. And thanks to our board for providing the financial incentive
Yes.
that if they go into this program and they pass their first test, we give them a reimbursement. So we try to encourage them because it is expensive. It's expensive to get in, it's expensive to finish, but we want to tell them that it's important to us, it's important to our kids. So again, thank you all. And of course, they all deserve a medal of excellence, don't you think so?
Yes, thank you very much. For each school, I didn't know if they'd be interested in that or not.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a student representative, Summer Evans.
Yes, and we'd like to ask Summer to come up. And this is something that we've talked about for a while. Summer is now our representative, our student representative to the Board of Education. And Summer, for the next year, beginning in January and going through this coming December, she will be present at every board meeting. Hopefully, whenever there's topics that are student-related and stuff, we want to hear from Summer. We want to hear from the perspective of our students. She'll be getting a board packet just like everybody else, and she'll know what's going on, and hopefully that you'll go back into your school and you'll submit responses from your students and those types of things. And part of her duties will be that Summer in January, she will take over the Mountain Mover program. And she'll be in charge of recognizing mountain movers every month, and we look forward to that. But let me just give you a little bit of bio about Summer. Summer is a current junior at Estill County High School. She is a Tennessee native that moved to the state of Kentucky in 2011. In her following years, she has participated in various extracurriculars and has held many different roles throughout her time as an Estill County student. Summer currently serves as the Class of 21 President and the FFA Chapter Vice President. Along with these leadership roles, she is in the Student Council, Sources of Strength Organization, Project 7 Bible Club, Archery Team, Bass Fishing Team, Kentucky Youth Assembly, 4-H, and is a Estill County Junior Fair Board member. Along with memberships in several organizations, she was selected as a 2019 Rogers Scholar and a participant of the Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute this past summer. Summer plans to attend Morehead State University with the intention of majoring in agribusiness and hopes of advocating for agriculture and then spreading the importance of the agriculture industry to generations to come. So Summer, we're happy to have you as part of the board, and Ms. Teresa Dawes will be working with you on a monthly basis, and of course I'll be in contact with you as well. And we appreciate the high school for their selection process in this. And after successful completion of putting up with us for a year, we will award you with a Medal of Excellence. So you've not accomplished anything yet. You've been with us for 1 year. Okay? But we appreciate
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
She and Will like to trade cows.
And we'll give you a seat right up here by Miss Felicia every board meeting, so you'll be right up here in the thick of it.
Okay, so I think we've had the South Urban Preschool Center, the student performance, so BB&T leadership.
Yes. As you know, we talked about leadership at the classroom level. I also want to recognize leadership at the school level. And Mr. Willis, if you'll come forward, I know he's going to present some data to us. I told him to wear his Sunday best this afternoon, so you can see that he chose to do so.
My salmon jacket was at the cleaners.
That's funny, mine is too. As you know, our principals have been participating in leadership academies as well. And this past summer, Stephen participated in the BB&T Leadership Academy that's presented by the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. Just a little information about that. The Institute brings together a group of principals from all across the Commonwealth and submerges them into corporate leadership training environment. The Institute is designed for principals with a desire to improve and grow. The program provides strategies that will help increase self-awareness, engage diverse viewpoints more effectively, enhance communication with team members, and much more. Mr. Willis feels that by gaining insight into his own leadership style, he has become a stronger leader in our community. And something we always do whenever they complete either the BBT Leadership Institute or NISL, we always like to honor our principals as well. So I would like to give you the Medal of Excellence, Mr. Willis, for what you do for our kids at South Urban and for what you do for our school district.
Thank you.
Took my glasses off so they wouldn't think we were twins or something.
The actual awards in that box.
And this,
I need to give his wife a little also, we're celebrating their anniversary tonight.
That's a board meeting.
and this is the award or presentation you got. Let's ask your wife to come up. On your anniversary.
Well, I may not have one next year.
You all, we're gonna commemorate your anniversary by coming here and y'all get a picture together. We appreciate you all being here tonight.
There to the twins.
After they're closed, go to the Burger Barn and get her an ice cream. Now, I believe with that, he is now ready to present some data for us in terms of what's going on at South Irving. And I think you all have the Brigance data in your board packet, but he's going to dive a little bit more in depth with you all.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to talk about Brigance data. What is a Brigance test? And what that is kindergarten readiness. When a child goes into kindergarten, at the beginning of their kindergarten year, let me take that, Jeremy. Okay. When a child goes into kindergarten, they are tested on what they know. That way it gives their kindergarten teachers kind of a basis of where they're starting. Some things that happen during that test that they ask the students are identification of letters, numbers, shapes, personal information. They ask them their name, so they know their address, their phone number. These are some of the questions they ask. Can they sort material? Can they do patterns?
I'll sit here, it's kind of.
Okay. Okay, I can hold it if you want to.
Shoot you up.
They also, am I live? Am I working? Okay, they also do literacy skills, like what are the parts of the book?
How do you use a book? You start left in the left corner, and then you work your way across and you come back. Those are some things they ask, and they also ask physical development. Can you stand on one foot? Can you walk backwards? So these are things that we look at during the Brigance test. So during the 2018-2019 school year, we tested 121 kindergartners in Estill County. Now that's everybody that walked in the door the first week of school. Out of those tested, 63.8 of those kindergartners were ready. They passed the test enough for us to say, hey, these kids are ready for kindergarten. We're going to start teaching them what they need to know in kindergarten. Which is great, because the state average is usually about 50%. But here's the thing, we got 36% of those not ready. If a child went to South Irving and was in our preschool program, just those children, 85% of those students were ready for kindergarten. So we pull out that data. If we had had them in our program at any point, their number went into this. So that's pretty nice. 63 general population. If you went to preschool in Estill, 85%. We still had 15% not ready for kindergarten. Out of those 85% that were ready for kindergarten that went through the South Irvin Early Learning Center, 36% of them were ready with enrichments. What that means is they basically made an A. They were 90% or above. So out of that group, 36 of them scored very well. Now these are the Brigance scores over the years. 2016, 2017, these are just South Irvin students, kids that we have had that have went through our preschool program. 2016, 2017, almost 66% were ready for kindergarten. The following year, we jumped up to 88%. And then last year, we dropped down to 85%. We dropped 3 points of South Irvin kids that were ready. So the question is, what are we doing about the drop in the kindergarten readiness? Well, there's multiple things. We know exactly which kids were not ready for kindergarten. Now, that could be a kid that moved into our school system in March in preschool. And they still went on to be tested for a Brigance test. That could be a reason. We know exactly what class they came from. So we know who the kid is, but we can also focus on the data from the kids that all year while they were in preschool. We keep a running tally, but we can look at the data and see how they progressed through preschool. Did they know all this information before they went to summer break? And then they just had 2 months off? And then somebody's asking them a bunch of questions and they don't remember what they learned? So we do have data and we can go back on these individual students and see what happens. Or there is a paper trail. So what we do is we discuss this in PLC meetings, we discuss our findings, we brainstorm possible solutions, and then we implement new strategies to figure out, what happened to these kids. And it was about 4 kids that went through our doors that were not kindergarten ready. So we want to know why. That way, the next batch of preschoolers, hopefully we can fix that problem. All right. So, one way that we keep data is through ESGI data. And that is educational software for guiding instruction. And what that is a computer-based program that our teachers use, and they ask 4-year-olds to identify letters, to identify sounds and numbers, and we keep a running tally of that data. Some of the things they ask them they test them on are shapes, colors, letters, numbers, counting, and numeracy. So we do this monthly, actually weekly, but once a month we do it officially on a computer, and that generates an individualized newsletter which goes home to that parent that tells that parent exactly what their child knows. Out of the alphabet, how many lowercase letters does your child know? How many uppercase letters does your child know? How many numbers can they identify? Which shapes do they need to work on? And like I said, this is ESGI data. And this is what that looks like. This is the November data for our school. This is a breakdown of each class. And in those classes, we know exactly how many kids know their uppercase letters, their lowercase letters, and their sounds. Now this is we are creating the building blocks for reading and writing at this point. So Brigance is a once-a-year thing, the kindergarten readiness. This is something we do monthly with every student.
We also keep math data on our students. Their numbers, when can they identify numbers? Up to 20. Can they count to 30? And something we've also added this year, can they have numeracy? Can I flash the number 5 on the screen, the preschooler, look at that number and count out 5 bears? Not me say, hey, can you give me 5 bears? It just flashes a number and said, I need this many. And the kid, we're working on the child and say, you look up there, see a 7, and count out 7 bears. This is something we've added this year that we're keeping track of. In preschool, there's a program called the Kentucky All-Stars program. And what that is, it's a quality rating and improvement system. Now, they come to your school, they observe your classrooms, they do several things. They have a checklist. They see if your site, if 75% of your staff has had professional development and they're working on strengthening family engagement. They look and see if you're implementing the curriculum and you're doing what you're supposed to as it goes by the Kentucky Early Learning Standards. And they check assessment results that are used, if you're using your results to inform and guide instruction. And I am proud to say that South Urban Early Learning Center is a 5-star out of 5-star. So, and that's what, and they've been that way for a few years, and that is great. But as far as the rating system, that is our rating system goes at the preschool. And we are 5 out of 5. All right, my last slide is who benefits from preschool? And the answer is all of us. We all benefit from preschool. Always tell my teachers, you know, and they're awesome. I have an amazing staff. You saw them out there, and those are amazing students. And we have an amazing environment. But, you know, you need to teach these kids and put everything you can into them. Because one day you're going to be laying on a gurney, and one of them's going to come up to you, and they're going to stick a needle in your arm. For no better reason. That's why you need to do your best. These people are going to take care of us one day. So in 2000, James Heckman won the Nobel Prize. He is a distinguished economist. He does labor economy. He focuses on training later on in life and helping people in jobs. And that's kind of what his Nobel Prize went for. But then he started thinking about preschools, just like us. He saw an article and he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. So he found some articles about preschool, and he found for every dollar spent in a quality preschool, not just in preschool, but every dollar spent in a quality preschool, you had a return investment of 6 to 10%. Now this was not just to that child. This was to the child, and this was to the community. So every dollar was going, you're getting a return. Some cities were getting a return of $8 to $12. I mean, that's pretty good. So, but the primary benefits for the children and the parents are that low-income parents are able to secure a place for their child for a high-quality program, and that child is likely to benefit from exposure to a wider array of learning opportunities that he or she may not get at home. And that's what we do. We give them a safe place to go. We have a very clean building. We have lights at work, and we have running water, and we have 3 meals a day, and lots of love. So, some of the benefits that Mr. Heckman has found in his study from a quality preschool program, better quality employees in the future. So he went back, and their IQs didn't go higher, but they had more opportunities in employment. There was a lower crime rate involved with these preschool kids 40 years later, and they were healthier people. So that's where your return is for a good quality preschool. It's not that you're just helping the child, but you're helping the community, and that's what we're doing in South Urban. We are creating a foundation, hopefully, a solid foundation for the rest of their formal education. And I know that was kind of fast, but anyone, that was a lot. Does anybody have any questions? We'll open it for questions.
If any of the board, any questions?
I like what you all are doing there.
Thank you.
It's building our future.
Yes, that is, like I said, that's the future. All those kids out there in that gym, that's what we do it for, right? I mean, that's why we're here.
2032.
32 is when they're going to graduate. They'll be here before we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just, let me just add a couple of things to what Stephen had to say. A special thanks to Community Action Council out of Lexington, who is our partner in preschool. And we're really thankful for them. They have been a fantastic partner for us. And I would direct the board's attention to this page. It was in your packet. And I'm not here to, I am going to toot our horn a little bit. If you are involved in our preschool program, you can see what a difference it makes for a child to attend preschool. When you're talking about almost 9 out of every 10 students that go to South Irvin are ready for kindergarten, 1 out of 4 that do not attend South Irvin is ready for kindergarten. That says a whole lot, guys. And we're really thankful for Community Action Council. We got an early Christmas present here this week from them with some additional funding. So they're really a good partner with us. So thanks to Mr. Willis and the job they're doing at South Irvin. We're ready.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have our fiscal year 2019 audit report.
And we have Mr. Artie White with us. And you should have your audit in front of you. I think you all had one in your packet, and now you've got a bound copy.
Now you're really gonna get it tonight.
You gonna sing and dance?
Oh, well, you might. That'll be a comedy show. Thanks, Mr. Salem, the board, for allowing us to complete your audit this year. And one of the things I always like to say is exactly what we do. Everything in this audit report, we're basically saying that we give you opinion, make sure that everything in here is free of material misstatement. And everything in here you can rely on. Any third party that you comply with all the grants, contracts, and agreements. But one thing I want you all to remember is all the people that work here in the school district every single day, working as hard as they can to produce these financial statements. And they do an excellent job, by the way. And that goes for not just the finance staff, but on through the coordinators, all the way down to the school personnel. So there's a whole lot that goes into this audit report, and there's a whole lot of people that on the findings on it that actually are interested in it, because obviously if I come in and I have a bad report, they're going to obviously have questions asked on them on the performance of their duties. So obviously let's just go to the very end here and just go to the schedule findings that summarized on one page. And if you would just turn over to page 81. 81 basically is a schedule of findings and question costs. It summarizes everything within the audit report. And it says what type of report was issued for the financial statements. The unmodified meaning of that report means that's the highest report you actually can get. Anybody that makes decisions on any third party using this audit report can rely on it, make any kind of decisions. Usually bondholders are the ones that actually do that, Department of Education. You also see in there about significant deficiencies, material weaknesses. There was none reported. We have different auditing standards. You have general accepted government auditing standards as well as federal program uniform guidance, what we call it, standards. So we check certain programs and we make sure that your policy and procedures that you all adopt are actually being adhered to. And if we find anything that is significant enough, we'll actually establish a finding and a corrective action plan for the district to follow. So if you'll look down at the very bottom there, you'll see two bold columns there, financial statement findings as well as findings and questions regarding the major programs. The major programs this year were Title I and the special education. And there were no findings there, so it's excellent audit report. Now, if you skip over just a couple of pages, on page 83, you'll see a management letter. The management letter is actually in the bound audit report, and actually it's insignificant items that we noted. It actually goes to management, and in the management letter, you'll see just a couple of things there. I won't even go over those, but that's items for improvement, things that we've noticed. One thing that I always like to mention about the schools, schools are dictated by state policy procedures. They're not local board policies and procedures. So they determine how that money is spent and any control activities that have to be performed by the people at the school. So that's the reason they're kind of noted. And usually they don't like repetitive. You'll go about 3 years, but the repetitive things that they're trying to get over. It always, I think it's been since I was last year, 4 or 5 years ago, and the schools really did well back then, and they continue to do well, so we like seeing that. And we really check that. The highest risk in any school district audit is schools because they're decentralized. And I was telling Mr. Saylor and Andrew before the meeting started, the reason is because at one point in time, the bookkeeper has control of both money and the books. So when you have that, you have to have everybody involved, the classified, the certified personnel, as well as the principal within the school doing their job. So you all do an excellent job here. So overall, an excellent audit report. And a couple of little things that I was going to just bring to you. I know probably in the past, and I know Mr. Saylor mentioned some of the big changes in the audit report. There's very few people actually read through the entirety of it. And there's probably about 30 pages were added, and that they dealt with the pension, and of course all the politics and stuff. You heard of that. You had the county retirement pension liability as well as the OPEB, they call it other pension employee benefits. Now that's something that you all don't have to deal with. It's in the government-wide financial statements. But since the state audit committee requires those financial statements in there, it has to be posted in that liabilities in there. But that's not something that we'll go over. But my point to this is there is no changes for the current year, but next year there is. Next year, the school activity accounts will move to a special revenue fund. They'll no longer be considered a fiduciary fund. And I bring that up because, again, the school activities are dictated by the state policy and procedures, not the local board. You all do not have a district activity fund. District activity and the difference school activity and district activity, that anything that the child's not involved in that raise money is considered district activity money. So gate receipts for a basketball game, football game, all that is district activity. So it's up to the board has discretion on how those funds are allocated. It's collected at the school, but they have 30 days to actually move to the central office. You can spend it any way you want to, reallocate it to the school, use it for anything general fund purposes. The reason for that is, Angela, next year we'll actually have to enter the school information into Munis. So when you see your financial reports next year, you will actually see those schools within that parameter. So you can actually have school activity as well as district activity. The main reason I wanted to tell you that is because you have more control or local than you do the school. The school has to be spent on direct benefit to the student, and it's more streamlined. It only has to have an educational purpose at the local board level. So you can do more with it. It's no different than instructional allocation. So it's very simple to do. So if that's something in the future that you move, at least you know, have knowledge of it, and that will be a big change next year. One last thing, and I've been doing this with all the schools that I've actually been going to, but if you'll look at page 15, just real quick. Page 15, you all will, Angie, when you present your end of the year report, we'll usually call it an annual financial report. This is called technically under GAAP accounting or accounting standards as a statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And I'm just going to point out on the general fund only, I'm just going to show you just a couple of things. And I've been showing districts, there's actually a statement in here and you actually can understand. But on the general fund column, you'll see down there the excess deficiency of revenues over expenditures, and you'll see a 56,000 with parentheses on it. That means the current year revenue was actually, the expenditures were actually more than the revenues of 56,000. But if you drop down, you see other financing sources and uses. You'll see some, a 16,000, 93,000, and then negative 247. You do have a good school food service program that actually you can take indirect cost, reimburses you for the building, for the utilities that you use. So 80,000 of that was indirect cost that's actually coming back to the general fund. And then you have operating transfers out. And the reason I wanted to point all this out, 36,000 or 43,000 of it's CATS education, but 204,000 went to Fund 36. So you're all in the building projects, which you all discussed later. So that money, and Mr. Saylor was telling me right before the meeting, that you actually purchase land, you have to prepay it out of the general fund. So everything that comes in a school district is revenue. Everything that goes out is expenditure. It's very simple to budget. But that money, which is $204,000 in the current year, actually, if you take that out, because you're going to get reimbursed back, you're in a positive fixture. So you actually live within your current year revenues in the current year. Also, too, you did have the ability to have a capital outlay fund transfer. You actually could ask the commissioner to move money out of your capital projects with the building fund and capital outlay if you wanted to, but you kept that money in there for future bonding that you were going to actually bond for. But you could actually move, and that's to offset operational costs for the building, such as insurances. But you all didn't do that, but other school districts do. It depends on the situation. But anyway, I just want to point out that that page to show you're actually doing a good job from your financial standpoint, and kind of give you a different perspective. I know Angie goes over this stuff with you, but I just want to point out there's at least something in here that you can actually look to and understand. But I encourage you to look through it. It's the verbiage in here. I can't be entertaining in this presentation, and the reason I know I can't, I got 3 kids and they roll their eyes when I say you ought to be an accountant one day. And my daughter said a statement the other day, said at least I'd have a job. So that makes the bottom. But anyway, I enjoyed doing it. You have a good staff. They all did a really good job. They're all very cooperative. And I think if there is problems within the school system, it reflects on the personnel, and they really try to do a really good job. And I love doing school districts. I do quite a bit of them, and they all seem to really do a good job. It's the monitoring Department of Education as well as the local board. And if there is problems, it funnels all the way up, and it always ends up on his desk. He's the main guy that takes all the heat. So he did a really good job. So always compliment your people that work within your school district. But I know they're all, I know Donna passed by, tapped me on the shoulder and said, brag on us tonight. So she did, they all do a really good job. And the years I've worked here, that it hasn't changed. So again, I appreciate it. You all have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
All right.
We do need a motion to accept that report.
I make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you all.
Next on the agenda, we have facilities, and first we have a construction update.
And we have Peter with us, so Peter can come forward and try to make us feel good. Thanks. Main question everybody wants to know, when are they going to dig a hole?
We've got
Yes.
two projects where we're expecting holes to be dug. Hopefully, they've already dug one for the bus garage. You know, you're going to test some moisture content of the soil up on that hill. But hopefully, we will see things start on both projects before the end of this month. And certainly, that is, all things are pointing towards that happening. So we're excited about that. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. I appreciate your time tonight.
Well, the first item was the bus garage, and as Peter said, they have done some digging up on the site, just trying to get water content to sort of figure out best approach. Especially, we've had a lot of rain here in the last 2 or 3 weeks, so. But that project is ready to begin, and then I guess, Peter, any updates you would have on the Estill County Area Technology Center? I do know that I got an email from Codell today to say that they would start mobilization. I think it was on the 30th.
Correct. That's been the plan, was to get started right on the that week of the 30th. And you know, for both projects, we had our pre-construction meeting. There is mobilization, and a lot is happening behind the scenes. We are swamped in our review of shop drawings and submittals for the projects, and that's going really smoothly so far. So there is all of these sort of preliminary things as we kind of wait, particularly with the ATC, you know, as KDE finishes up their approval of the contracts, which I think is imminent.
So under the ATC, guys, you have a consideration approval of pay app number 5, and that's for the pre-construction work that's been presented by Codell Construction for $3,907.20. And my recommendation is that we make that payment.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Next, we have Estill Springs renovation. Anything there?
Yeah, so as we were pulling together our sort of final documents to get you all BB force for both Estill Springs and for the roofing projects, there was one final change order for the project, which is a deduct. That means money coming back to the district. We had shown in our drawings a new flagpole location that included some concrete in the project. And the district decided to use the canopy structure for putting the flag up at the school. And so there's a deduct for not having to install the concrete for the new flagpole. And it's a deduct of $2,195. Once we get this change order through and processed to KDE, which should not take long at all, then I'll be back here with the final processing for Estill Springs renovation project. Are there any questions?
Basically, we're done.
Yeah.
So the recommendation is to approve the change order for $2,195, which of course is a reimbursement to or basically a refund to the district.
Exactly.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Okay.
So next is the roof replacement.
So the roof replacement, this is where we added an agenda item, and the A is the final pay application that you're getting now. And this, you'll notice on the balance to finish near the bottom of the left-hand page is $0. So this is, their final pay application is for $16,152.76. And we have reviewed this, and we've been on the site several times to punch and back punch, and we would recommend approval of this final pay application for this particular project.
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
And just let me add, I want to thank Riddle Construction and also SES Roofing for their work on that project. You know, there's a big delay on getting the roofing metal, so we got started a little bit late, but, you know, they were on top of things. They took care of things that went wrong, and I have nothing but high praise for both of them on this project. So the school district would like to thank Riddle and also SES Roofing for their work on this project.
So with that out of the way, I am able to present you guys with a BG4 form, which is the KDE form that sort of clarifies that the project is substantially complete. Angie and some other folks know that there are additional BG forms coming down the pike, but this one closes out the project for the district. And if you have any questions on this form for a roofing project, a lot of the stuff doesn't get filled out. You mostly are just looking for, you know, obviously there's financials at the top and then closeout dates, which for a roofing project is really just about when did we finish our punch list work, when did we receive record drawings, when did we receive warranty information, and you know, and that's pretty much, you know, it. When did we receive the last pay application? And so that's what this form is, and KDE needs you guys to approve it to sort of move on to the BG5 and open up whatever funds might be left in the project for the district.
My recommendation is approve the BG4.
I'll make a motion that we approve the BG form.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
And just a question, Angie, are we going to try to bring the BG5 back in January? So, which is the final closeout document. We want to go ahead and get those closed out. That will really be beneficial to the auditor this coming year to go ahead and get those things closed out, and they won't be open for any period of time. So she's already working on that, so we should have it in January.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have O construction projects.
Peter, anything else you want to tell us?
It's been a while since I've talked to the Estill County Board about South Urban or the Estill County High School renovation projects, but apparently we're getting around to the BG5s for those, so.
Yeah, and we, of course, part of that is closing out the contingencies on those projects. And Angie's been working with Ross Tarrant and with Mary Lynn to get the final details with that. Used to, projects would get closed out and, you know, you'd pretty much close it out and it was just done. But now they require a BG5 to really close those out in terms that they're really wanting a report of where is the contingency money, what did you do with that money? And of course, in those projects, as you know, we've done work at both of those schools. In addition, you can use that contingency money to buy equipment. You can use that contingency money to do other projects within that particular, as long as it's spent on that school, you can use that money. And we've done that to do some of the upgrades at South Urban that's been done. Like phone systems and those types of things that we did to upgrade security in that building. And if you've not been in South Urban for a while, I'm telling you, South Urban is, for a 60-year-old school, it is really a beautiful school in good shape. And I know I don't want to steal Mr. Willis's thunder, and I'll let him announce it or what he's wanting to do this coming year. If you want to, Mr. Willis, to tell him what you plan on doing.
We're looking at maybe at having a South Urban homecoming, since we're
attended by previous administration and teachers and students. Our building will be 60 years old next year.
That's awesome.
That's in the works.
So that'll be a big event for our community. As a matter of fact, I actually went over and spoke to Mr. Danny Click at the basketball game the other day. And of course, you know, he was a principal there for a long time, and he's reached out. He's going to reach out to Mr. Willis. He's excited about that. Just so happened there was a young lady sitting by him and said, well, I went to South Irving. Mr. Click was my principal at South Irving, and that's wonderful. So I think we can have a big event around that to celebrate the history of our school district. So I think it's really a big deal to do that. But as you know, when I arrived on the scene 4.5 years ago now, these two construction projects were starting at South Irving and at the high school. They've been done for a while. We've used the contingency money, as I said, to address some of the construction or the maintenance issues and stuff we had at that school. So we're ready to close them out. Angie has the paperwork. And recommendation is, I think we can do those with one motion, I would think. I wouldn't think we would have to have two separate motions.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay, so if you all feel good about that, we would ask for a motion to close out the South Irving and High School project, the BG5s, and that's my recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor? All right.
You can
Thank
tell
you.
Roland he's off the hook.
Okay.
That was his last two, he's off the hook. Those are done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Ms. Tanya Isaacs. She's going to talk about CDIP.
We gotta deal with her again
Come
tonight?
here again. It's the CF, and watch everybody's face just brighten up. They smile. They say I about killed them all, but I'm sorry. Actually, you have different reports laid out two ways. You have your strategy map, which is the first one, and then you also have how the plan prints out, okay? There is another plan, I printed you the improvement plan, but we also have an annual implementation plan that gets a little bit more detailed. It drills down to activities and basically dates when we're going to kind of do things. But I talked about this before, that we were part of a pilot last year with the state. I think there were like 6 districts maybe that participated, and last year we had to do this platform, but we also had to do the old platform as well. So we did the same plan, 2 different platforms, which was quite a bit stressful. This year, KDE has said those people in the pilot last year can just do just one report. There is another maybe about 10 more districts that are going through the pilot year 2, still ironing out some things that are a little fuzzy in this platform, but for the most part, I think it's going to be a good plan. With this, you have to identify themes, and then under the themes, you will write objectives, and then from your objectives, you have critical initiatives. So that's what you're seeing here tonight. Now, this plan will be monitored by a 30, 60, 90-day plan. The schools will all have their own. The district has its own. It will this year go live. So as we are doing our activities and we are updating things in there, when we get those things finished or along the way, we will be updating those, and anybody can get on our website and see how that's going. The schools will also be posted to their web pages as well, so you can see any plan and how we're monitoring that, how we're meeting our goals or our objectives. So I'm not going to read all this to you all. Do you all have any questions about this at all? You have your big theme, student excellence, and then you go to workforce, which is working on culture, climate type things. In your student excellence, I will tell you your mental health issue initiatives are there. In our community, of course, we want to increase our community partnerships there at the district level. And then financial, there are some things we want to look at, different systems of maybe how we can do things a little bit more efficient. And then at operations, just monitoring our systems and making sure that we do have systems in place and monitoring those to make sure it all goes back to student achievement. So anything that we can save in any of these other departments, we can use on students. So that's our goal. Do you all have any questions at all? Sheila, I know you've seen this before. It looks a lot.
This is wonderful from what we used to do.
Yeah, it used to be very thick, yes. So, and harder to read, yeah,
I served on that committee before.
yeah.
And I would like you all to notice that because it's divided into those 5 pillars, I don't know if you noticed that, and if you draw the connection between that, that was our strategic plan in the past, which of course that strategic plan comes to an end in 2020. So this takes that strategic plan in 2020, it's both documents in one. And I think if you look, I believe this is planned out through 2024.
Yes, it is.
So it's through the
This goes to
next 4 years.
2024, yes.
So it's really taken 2 documents, which was the old CDIP document and the strategic plan, and combining them under one document to sort of, from a monitoring standpoint, it's going to be a lot easier.
No, this is a bad season.
I agree. You have to go through the same process to develop it. It is a lot of work, but I do think in the end, it gives you more of this, which is better.
More visual.
Yes, yes, it is better for communication purposes.
And just a reminder, as you know, tonight we really come to an end of our first semester. So you've had each of your schools present, and they've presented their data at one point or time during board meetings. Their school improvement plans are built on that previous year's data, and then the initiatives they're doing to improve in the areas that they have. So as she said, those will be live as well on their website. So nothing is done in secret. It's all out there. It's all out there for the public to see. If they make a change, they don't meet a particular goal, that's going to be updated on there. So everybody will be able to see in real time what's happening in our schools in terms of these different objectives.
Before, it was really hard if you needed to change something. Let's say your data changed after you received it, and it was just really difficult to communicate that and to get it into the platform. With this, the state wants us to be very flexible. They want it to be, a document that we can use instead of sitting on a shelf, which is a lot of times what your CDIP was. It would just be approved and sit on a shelf somewhere. So they want this to be a living, breathing document. So we hope that will be so.
Any questions? My recommendation is that you would approve this plan to be submitted to KDE.
Are you seconding that? Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
Notice a minute ago I voted.
Did you vote?
Yeah.
I missed
Did
it.
you
I was
see me?
looking that way.
Yeah, I voted a minute ago, so we had one thing, carry 6-0.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have consent items.
I don't think there's any of these that really need to be pulled out. I would just direct your attention to a couple of them. C is the Kentucky Data Seam Agreement. And what that agreement is that through the Data Seam project, if we send one of our technicians to the training, then the district would receive 25 MAC iMac computers that we can use within our school system. Now, part of that agreement is the training's $5,000, but it's over $25,000 worth of computers. So it's almost spend $1, get $5. And, which we felt like was a good start for us. We really feel like that we believe we're going to go to the first one. We're going to make that initial investment and go. Jeremy's going to attend the training. And what we want to see is, our thought process is right now is that these computers can be used in our classrooms for center activities and those types of things. So we looking at maybe starting at West Urban. We'll know more once we get there to see if they'll work in that capacity, or is it better to use them as a block in a lab. But I believe that we can do it the other way, which is more of what our need is going to be. So every time we want to send somebody, we pay $5,000, we get, again, over $25,000 worth of computers. And if it works out the way it is, we will probably do this over the next couple of years using KETS money as our match. We can also use Title I money if we want to, but over the next couple of years, our goal would be is that we would have these computers in each of our classrooms at Estill Springs and also at West Urban for them to use as part of their center work, and just sort of see how that goes. So I really think that's an exciting initiative. You're saying, why are they doing this? The one caveat is that the University of Louisville runs cancer research on these computers 24/7. So our only deal is we have to leave them up and running, so when our students aren't using them, they're doing cancer research on those computers through the network. It's been something that's been happening for a long time. It's been in the coal counties east of us for a long time. In my former district, I believe we had like 300 Mac computers in the district that was running this software all the time. So it's beneficial to us, it's beneficial to them as well. D is the Goodwill host agreement, and Goodwill has a program where they will send people that will volunteer and work in your schools, and they actually pay them a salary. We'd actually, just a little bit of oversight, those is getting approved at the school level. We don't need to approve those at the school level. Those need to be, that's a contract, it's an agreement. It needs to come through this board. That way, through board action, we're covered under insurance if there was an issue. And it also brings up the fact that these people are basically employed in our buildings. So we want them, since they're there every day, to undergo a little bit more extensive background check and the CAN check for child abuse and neglect. So with your approval, it puts them under the umbrella of our insurance policy as well. And I'm sure Goodwill has insurance as well, but we better make sure we're covered. The one thing that might require some discussion is E. Real quick, I did put on there was the surplus property. That's the barn that's directly across from the high school, the one that's not in very good shape, that we would go ahead, that'd be the first thing we would surplus on that property and advertise it and see if we can get that barn off of that property. I would call your attention to the two KSBA. They sent us a couple drafts on the policy. As you know, the district-wide ban on tobacco products takes place on January 1, which is just a few weeks away. And in all honesty, I'm not looking to punish employees, but also I do know this, that if there is no consequences behind the policy, we know that that policy, we might as well not have passed a ban on tobacco and nicotine products. So there was nothing spelled out. So this is really new territory for KSBA. I know Jonathan's been working with them as well. We may very well become the model for this because they've really not been asked this question. Under board policy, what is it that we can do? And I do think it needs to be communicated, remembering that the superintendent is the only person in the school district that can hand out disciplinary consequences to a employee. So this doesn't pass the buck to you all, but what it does is it does tell you all what the possible options are. Because, and we first talked about a hierarchy of things, that if you do this first time, this is what happens. If you do this second time, that really didn't work, because what if we caught somebody smoking in an FMD classroom that was in there with a student with asthma and they knew it? Is a warning sufficient for that employee at that point in time? I don't think it would be. I mean, you would be putting that child's life in danger. So why would you want to say first offense, you get a warning? I don't know. I know Jonathan looked at both of these. I don't know if either one of these policies is really better than the other one. Do you?
I don't think so.
I think it's really up to you all. I mean, in a sense, if you all thought one of them was better than the other one, or I really think they're both pretty similar. Do you all have a and you can see there that it's really a verbal or written warning, documentation of the conduct in the employee evaluation. If a principal can document that within evaluation. Because really at this point in time, it is a directive. It's a directive from the board. It's a directive from the superintendent. So an employee that would participate in this activity is really, in a sense, if you want to get technical, insubordinate, which is part of the code of ethics and, of course, against board policy. It can be a private reprimand, public reprimand, suspension without pay, and it could lead up to termination if there was multiple events. Is there one of those two policies you all like the best? Do you want me, we can approve it on first reading tonight, and I can bring the actual policy that I feel like is the best one back to you all for final reading. See anything wrong with that, Jonathan? If they just,
They're the same.
Are they both the same?
Yeah, they're exact. Oh, okay.
I thought they gave me two alternatives
Well,
to begin with. They must have narrowed it down.
One's certified and one's class. That's
Well,
the difference.
I'm sorry,
But it's the same
I'm
policy.
wrong. It's the same policy. When John and I first started talking, he sent me two different ones. I'm sorry. And then he and I, through some conversations, went back to this one. So I'm apologizing for that. It's the same policy. One's classified, one's certified. So we do have the one that we agreed on. So excuse me for that. I'm old and it's at the term, in the end of the first term, so. Do you all have any issues with that? And then what I'm going to do is we'll communicate this to employees tomorrow, and that way they will know what's going on. So if you all don't have any issues with any of those, and if there's nothing you want to pull out directly, you can approve all those as a block.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Any public comments? Okay. Mr. Saylor, it's your turn.
Well, you've got the personnel report there in front of you. You also, I've told you this time I would bring back my activity report, and I just put those on one page for you all to look at. To go on down through there after my activity report. Sorry, lost my agenda now. Just a report on the Kentucky Center for School Safety. We had our safe school assessments at the high school and middle school. We've already received those reports. And good overall review of those two facilities. We've also met our new safety officer. Dickey met with him about a week ago, so that's all part of Senate Bill 1. They will be coming in. We're already doing some self-assessments of our buildings, and they will be coming in to do some site visits. But you all have made a big investment on some of the safety and security measures within our schools. So we feel like that's going to be a good process for us. We have addressed some of the issues that was brought up during that Kentucky Center for School Safety visits, but most of them were minor issues and nothing that would be considered red flag issues in terms of student safety. One of the things that, of course, with your policy and procedure manuals, the school district, we do try to keep a copy. We try to keep 2 copies here at the office that are hard copies. But anytime that we update a policy, it is automatically online. And anytime you all can go online to access any of our policies. And if you don't know how to do that, Felicia has submitted that to you all in a one-page document that just sort of tells you where to go and where to log on at. You can go to our website to access it. So it's very simple to get to. And what's happened over time is those 5 or 6 big notebooks, we've not been able to get a few of them back from former board members, and they're just so out of date. We just feel like that the best thing to do at this point in time is just to do away with those things. So if you have one of those, they're not up to date. Probably if you're starting a good fire or something, outside, you can use them to get rid of them. If you want to turn them back into us, we'll recycle them and take care of it that way. But I think you're better off to always go online. Those are the most up-to-date policies. Just for your all's purposes, the KSBA Winter Symposium, the date is February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And the last item on there is we would need to set a January meeting date for chair, vice chair, president of the school finance committee, and the vice president of the school finance corporation. So we would need to do that here first of the year. It would be a short meeting unless there's a construction project or something that we need a quick approval on. Those would be the only items on the agenda, and that's usually the first full week of January. So I don't know what you all have planned, but the 7th or the 9th, one is Tuesday night, one's on Thursday night. You all can sort of decide what you want to do.
Thursday the 9th. Does that work?
Be at 6 o'clock. I wouldn't anticipate it lasting more than 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, just according if there was something that came up. I don't know of anything that's coming up that we would need to deal with. Y'all good on the 9th? I don't think we need a motion to approve that, so that's my report. So I guess any board member?
Anybody from the board want to speak?
I really didn't hear anything you said tonight because Stephen's jacket was like mesmerizing.
Okay.
You talked about the tobacco use. So how are we going? We may have discussed this. If we did, I can't remember. As far as the like sporting events outside of.
We're actually hanging signage. We were supplied with free signage from an organization here in the state That signage just went up this week. It'll be completed tomorrow. Also, the high school, Josh and Andrea, I have cards that have been printed. They're just like business cards that, as we first start dealing with this, if we have somebody that is smoking, like at the ball game at a halftime or something, is that we just politely ask them that we remind them that we're a tobacco-free school district, and you can hand them a card that sort of says this is the policy. Those are upstairs, so if y'all don't mind, as you go up, Felicia can open my door, and Felicia, they're laying over there by my 2 filing cabinets, and there's 2 boxes for each of you all. It's got high school, middle school, and again, it starts in January. We just remind them. I'm not, we're going to tell our employees, we've let our employees know that it's off property, it's off property. We can't give them permission to go to their car and smoke because it's sitting on property. So we would be in violation of board policy ourselves, so we could not do that. So, we may have some people that go out to the sidewalks and stuff. You see it at UK and different places. If they do, they do. We've given them plenty of opportunity. We'll continue to try to provide them with resources to where they can quit if they choose to quit. If an employee's on a 15-minute break and they want to get in their car and they want to leave campus, then they technically can leave campus during that break time. So I think that I've talked to other school districts, and I'm telling you, we have gotten nothing but positive feedback from our community on this. I know that there's probably some negative feedback out there, out there. We've just not seen it. I've not seen it on Twitter. We've not really seen it on Facebook as we have communicated this. We know the health dangers of secondhand smoke, and we know the health dangers of tobacco products. So I think, it was the right move by our board. We talked about it a long time before it actually passed. We'd been discussing it. Of course, with healthcare professionals on our board, we know what happens with smoking, not only to the individual, but to secondhand smoke. So we're going to be polite about it. We're not going to, we're not going to be out there, trying to put the hammer down on somebody. We're just going to do it as a communication thing and a communication campaign. And I think we've done a pretty good job communicating it. So I think most people know that it's coming. I don't know if any of you all as principals, if you all gotten a lot of feedback or any negative feedback. I've not seen it. That doesn't mean it's not out there.
I shared it on Facebook and everything came back, it's about time. And I got amens.
Yeah.
So,
And we'll have people that will, that will do. And it's just one of those things that we just politely just reminding you this is a no smoking campus. You would need to put that out, and we just have to remind them, and hopefully people will understand. I hope that it doesn't come down to the fact that we have an issue with somebody. I'm sure that it could, but most people are not. I would not think. Doesn't mean somebody might not light up a cigarette, but I think also, I don't think somebody's going to get belligerent over the fact that they're asked to not do it. I would hope not. So we'll just sort of have to see how that goes. What about you? Any of y'all had negative? Just a little bit?
No, I
Just no.
I know we had talked about it, and as you have other people come from other counties to your county, and I'm just, kind of wanting to know how we need to address that, I'm like you, I don't want to be iron fist, but obviously you go about things the right manner and get better results that way, so.
Yeah, and that's sort of the way we've communicated to our principals. And of course, next fall, by law, I believe every school district has to be tobacco-free. So we're just out ahead of the curve about 6 months ahead of time. Now, also within that law, after 2 years, you can opt out. A school district could opt out if they decided to opt out, but I believe that's the way the law is written, if I'm not mistaken. So most people know that it's coming. I know this week, I saw 3 school boards this week that passed smoking bans this week at this particular meeting. Of course, they're getting ready for next school year, so that's what they're doing. So.
Okay, I need a motion to go into closed session. You seconded that? All in favor?
Thank you all for your attendance
Thank
tonight.
you all.
Charlotte, I haven't seen you for a year.
Only when you were unsewing Kessie's finger.
Thanks, sir.
She's doing good.
Yeah.
Miss Tanya, we gave them a medal, but we didn't give them their certificate. I know, listen, we signed them, so we'll need to get them to them. You know they'll frame that and put it on their wall. Rhonda's signature's worth at least $3.
Well, sure. That's right.
Thank you. Get your cards.